More than that, what was the hurry? And I just want to one fact for all our viewers. You know, we keep talking, ladies and gentlemen, that the government is slow. Look how quickly the government worked in this case. We had the most hard-working government. On the 22nd morning, you know, Mr. Chidambaram has calls a meeting. 3 top ministers sit with him. After completing the meeting, they all then go to the Prime Minister's office. Exactly. They brief the Prime Minister. The National Security Advisor comes. The Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, I guess Pulak Chatterjee, come. And all these 7 gentlemen sit together and they clear the deal.
Like the Colgate allotment.
Then Salman Khurshid goes to the UAE and he signs this agreement with United Arab Emirates within 36 hours. And within 5 or 6 hours of that, the Jet-Etihad deal is signed. I must say that corporate India and political India working in tandem, and political India has never worked with the speed and precision that it has done on this deal. It was all going perfect till the Prime Minister realized something is wrong and then did a U-turn. My question today is political, and my next question is to Vinod Mehta. Vinod Mehta, given the fact that the Prime Minister's personal image has been hit by a series of scams, has he become wary? One. Secondly, is he trying to get out of quicksand, or has he already got into quicksand on this one? Because has he put one foot into the quicksand? Can he still get out of this quicksand in your view?
Well, I don't think the party will allow him to get out of the quicksand till 2014. But I think he's fatigued. And Arnab, I said on one of your programs earlier that he's not a great hands-on Prime Minister.
Why is he there?
He doesn't go into
Then he must, Vinodji, then you must demand his resignation.
And therefore, Ajit Singh comes to him.
Yeah, Piyush, always, for everything you demand the resignation.
1 minute, what I'm saying is that Ajit Singh comes to him and says this deal is very good for India, etc., etc. Please okay it. And instead of doing all the due diligence, then he does the due diligence after he has okayed the deal with Ajit Singh, and then suddenly discovers that this is a can of worms.
No, but Mr. Mehta.
That he's okay
but
to
Mr. Mehta, Ajit Singh says when we interviewed him, Ajit Singh is very aggressive. He's not scared of the Prime Minister. Ajit Singh says the Prime Minister cleared the deal. If the Prime Minister hadn't cleared the deal, there wouldn't have been any negotiations.
Arnab,
he's put it squarely on the Prime Minister.
But I believe Ajit Singh. I think Ajit Singh is telling the truth.
Arnab,
I think
the fact of life
is telling the truth, and Ajit Singh sees he has the power and the authority. The Ajit Singh has the power and the authority he feels he has to take on a weak Prime Minister.
No, but what Ajit Singh also says, what Ajit Singh also says is that the Prime Minister never gets involved in bilaterals in the first place. So the first question to be put is, who asked the Prime Minister to get into it? He need not have got into it.
I asked you that earlier in the show. Well, what is the force behind the Prime Minister who's even more important than the Prime Minister?
I think you should be...
Who can influence the Prime Minister enough to make him call for the meeting of the group of ministers?
Are you suggesting that the Prime Minister is not acting on his own initiative?
Of course, he has claimed so many times that I don't run this government. This government is run by 2 different forces. You all know that the Prime Minister, their senior leaders have gone on record to say that this dual ownership of government, dual running of government is good. Now look at their history. They started with CWG. There the Prime Minister's office had put a gentleman in the panel in the CWG group deciding everything. Nothing happened. The Prime Minister said, I'm not responsible. All others are. Look at the second scam, the 2G scam. Raja says, call the Prime Minister to depose. He shows us all the letters. The PM was in the loop throughout. PM says, I don't know. The ministers decided. The Antrix Devas deal. It was done in the Prime Minister's office. And then he decides to say that, oh, we've cancelled the deal. So all the guna maaf. Ek baar deal cancel hui to guna maaf ho gaya. Fourth, the Colgate.
I know your line of argument.
On Colgate, he does the same thing. He's the minister in charge of that department.
But
and what does he do?
You've been repeatedly targeting the Prime Minister for omissions.
In this case, Prime Minister, and now there's a dual authority they have acknowledged.
In this case,
we don't know if the PM works on his own or there's somebody else who runs the Prime Minister's office.
In this case, some people will put an argument, and I'd like to get Kamal Faruqui on this. Some people will say that you are being uncharitable.
But what's there to be uncharitable?
Because allow me.
It's of his own admission. It's the Prime Minister's own admission.
No, you are being uncharitable.
Admission of the Congress leadership.
No, you are being uncharitable because and I'm only playing devil's advocate, I am not the Prime Minister's advocate. The only argument for the Prime Minister will be, Aryama Sundaram, tell me, and Kamal Faruqui, tell me if you agree, is that the Prime Minister, realizing his big mistake, has put the brakes on this deal, which Dinesh Trivedi's former cabinet colleague says 2 years from now could become a 2G deal. You agree with that, Kamal Faruqui?
Absolutely. Yes, otherwise, how come Ajit Singh would be so bold? Tell me, how could Ajit Singh be so bold that he will be saying how the deal could be done without the Prime Minister's approval? And how come Chidambaram could be so bold that he could take the whole thing without the permission of the Prime Minister?
Okay, in the history of India, 40,000 seats have never been given like this.
Aryama Sundaram.
No. Ajit Singh, one fact that cannot go unsaid is that Mr. Dinesh Trivedi wrote to the Prime Minister before the signing of the deal. So if the PM was aware that serious apprehensions have been raised by an honourable member of parliament, what was he doing at that stage? I think we must first look at it.
Question is,
the question is, he had a chance to stall it. He had a chance to turn down the proposal of the Ministry of Immigration rather than ask Chidambaram to hold a meeting.
Well, just the question is that when he asked Chidambaram to hold a meeting, he didn't see a potential scam. When he felt there could be a whiff of a scam, when these people started writing letters to him, when the Parliament panel questioned it, he probably felt, oh, something's going wrong. I don't want any more scams, and I'd rather pull back and send this letter out.
Gupta had said it.
No, so Aryama Sundaram, should the Prime Minister be credited or criticized?
More than a scam, it's a security.
Aryama Sundaram, should the Prime Minister be credited or criticized? Credited.
Can I answer?
Aryama Sundaram.
According to me, I would love the possibility that the Prime Minister could finally take responsibility. I think I am sick and tired over the years of the Prime Minister knowing nothing and all the ministers who are then roped into something saying, but the PMO knew. Well, one or the other is not telling the truth. But if it is the Prime Minister's office which is correct in saying they knew nothing, then that means I have a Prime Minister who knows nothing about what's happening in India. And that worries me tremendously.
Now, Mr.
And
Sundaram,
I believe the only way out today is to turn around and say, yes, we did it, but we have had second thoughts. There was an error. We need to do something about it because a lot of aspects have come out and we want to do a rethink on it. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I do not think by doing anything like that, I think it would be a far more honorable way to deal with it than to say that a decision was thrust on me at the last minute or that I had no idea.
Now, I just want to say one thing, that this is now 9:45 p.m. and Vinod Mehta at 9:41 p.m. I have received a message from top sources in the Prime Minister's office on the Newshour tonight.
And what does that say?
And they say, look at the press release. Ajit Singh asked the Prime Minister to intervene.
What is in the press release?
They emphasize, sources in the Prime Minister's office, probably, presumably watching the program as of this minute, are saying, please remember, Ajit Singh asked the Prime Minister to intervene.
So
the passing the buck is complete. They are watching the program right now. So I want Vinod Mehta's response to that. Yeah. What happens, Mr. Sundaram? Yes, Mr. Sundaram.
I think that makes it even more telling.
Complete admission of guilt.
No, not that.
Yes.
41, you are saying it is something else.
So at least Mr. Ajit Singh should resign immediately first.
Well, I think they've all tied themselves up in knots. What do you think, Vinod Mehta?
But it's funny.
They can't decide who is to blame. I think this whole government needs to go.
Mr. Mehta.
It's a government of scams, for crony capitalism. Unless this government goes, this country will not get rid of corruption.
Well,
we need now a government of integrity. Let the people decide on the fate of this government.
Who is this gentleman? Just keep him quiet for some time.
1 second, that's Piyush Goyal, please. Yes, he has an audio delay.
Okay.
Arnab.
Yes, Mr. Mehta, go on. We are all waiting.
Arnab, I think this is really confusion more confounded. If you are telling me now that it is Mr. Ajit Singh who has asked the Prime Minister to re-examine the deal. Is that what you're trying to say?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the Prime Minister's office sources are telling us that Ajit Singh told the Prime Minister, one second, I'm not going to get it wrong. Ajit Singh asked the Prime Minister to intervene. They are saying if the Prime Minister was never told to intervene, he wouldn't have. Aryama Sundaram is astonished at that. To intervene.
Intervene.
I am really astonished.
No, and intervene to do what?
No, to clear the deal. One second.
What have they asked?
You mean otherwise PMO would not have been involved?
Yes. The fight is intense between Ajit Singh and the Prime Minister. Ajit Singh has given an interview to Times Now in which he has said it is not the Prime Minister's business to be getting into the deal. Now that he's giving it to Cabinet, let him. Otherwise, these are bilaterals which are done at the level of the ministry. Now the Prime Minister's office on the program tonight is saying Ajit Singh should remember he asked the Prime Minister to intervene. So we have an unlikely scrap between the Prime Minister and a Cabinet Minister, directly or indirectly.
It is compulsions of coalition politics, he will claim finally by tomorrow.
No, I don't get it. I mean...
No, but intervene to do what, Arnab? Arnab, you must explain.
No, I'll explain.
Intervene to do what?
I'll explain. Intervene to ask 4 top ministers 2 days before Salman Khurshid's visit to the UAE to sit down and clear the details of a bilateral agreement overriding the objections of the interministerial group, a request which was made by Ajit Singh to the Prime Minister.
And 2 days before the Jet-Etihad deal. Equally important.
Aryama Sundaram.
Equally important to note that.
One thing here.
Aryama Sundaram.
Yeah, let me just say something here. You know what this really means in that case is that the Civil Aviation Minister wanted a deal to go through. There was some kind a policy to go through. There was opposition to it. He has asked the Prime Minister to intervene to see that it goes through, which means the PMO was in favor of letting it go through. And the PMO therefore intervened at the behest of Mr. Ajit Singh. And what was that intervention sought for? To ensure that it went through. Now I'm getting a totally different picture of it.
Jitendra Bhargava, this is becoming a big scandal. 1 second.
The intervention was for that purpose. The purpose could be that please intervene to get the deal done prior to Jet-Etihad deal being signed. An indication
why did the Prime Minister agree?
Ajit Singh on his own could not have persuaded the External Affairs Minister and the other agencies of the government to expedite it.
Not the point.
Now the idea
is the PMO intervened to get the deal through.
Why did the PM get involved?
The idea is to facilitate the deal between Jet and Etihad.
Why did the PM get involved?
It wouldn't have taken place if the seats had not been done. Why sought intervention on that count?
Only the Prime Minister can answer you, Arnab, why the PM got involved. How can we, any of us on the panel, answer this question? He was involved for extraneous considerations. Simple. There are extraneous considerations on this deal. Why did 40,000 seats, which have never been done in so many years, given to any country, be allotted in one day in 24 hours? There is an extraneous consideration on this.
It has been stated many times that as far as allocation of seats are concerned, it's within the purview of the Ministry of Civil Aviation.
Have you ever given 40,000 seats in 24 hours?
Listen to me. Now the question is, if he sought intervention, for what? That is what I'm answering is, seeking intervention so that a governmental view is conveyed to Abu Dhabi and Etihad that this is guaranteed by the government of India.
I think the Prime Minister of India is not helpless. He chooses to get into what he wants to. That's point number 1. And point number 2, if Ajit Singh, if you're watching tonight, I sincerely request you, Mr. Ajit Singh, you turned down my request today. Come on the Newshour, join our panel, come on a one-on-one, and let us ask you the direct questions on this controversial deal and what exactly led to it. If you ask the Prime Minister to get into it, can you now criticize the Prime Minister or say the Prime Minister is not supposed to have got it in the first place? Because the Prime Minister has put on record, Mr. Ajit Singh, that you asked him to intervene. This is becoming a very complicated scandal indeed. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Just read out this crony capitalism definition. It's very interesting. An economy that is nominally free market but allows for preferential regulation and other favorable government intervention based on personal relationships.
Well,
in such a system, the false appearance of pure capitalism is publicly maintained
we need
to preserve the exclusive influence of well-connected individuals.
I didn't know that definition.
This is the case what we are seeing in front of us.
I didn't know that definition, but every Indian has experienced that crony capitalism in some way or the other. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on debate number 1 on a very important issue, a scandal in the making on Times Now today.
Scandal happened, sir. The making is over. It happened.
Thank you, Mr. Piyush Goyal. Thank you.